From United Nations headquarters in New York, I'm Luke Vargas. The UN Security Council has passed new sanctions on North Korea 2 months after the country's latest nuclear test. It's been 23 years since the UN Security Council first took up the issue of trying to stop North Korea from pursuing nuclear weapons. And all along, this has been an incredibly difficult task. On one hand, trying to keep North Korea away from nuclear development, while at the same time trying to prevent a humanitarian crisis or a collapse of the regime. Now, these latest sanctions feature perhaps the strongest language so far, trying to curb North Korean exports, particularly coal exports. This is one sector of the North Korean export economy that gives the regime a lot of cash, which they then use to funnel into nuclear activities. This has been attempted in the past, including in sanctions in March, but the big problem has been this loophole called a livelihood exemption. Countries, particularly China, a big importer of North Korean coal, claim this exemption, and it basically amounts to saying if we didn't import this coal, it would be harming North Korean civilians. There are now stricter rules about who can claim this exemption, and there's an overall cap of about $400 million a year. That is the new cap on North Korean coal exports altogether, about a 60% reduction in the overall value of that trade. Another element of these sanctions includes a ban on exports of statues. That's right, North Korea makes tens of millions of dollars every year by exporting these large, oftentimes very gaudy statues to world leaders, especially in Africa. That is now banned. The experts I've talked to say the sanctions will probably tighten the belt of the regime a little bit, but it's unlikely to cause a major change in North Korea's nuclear posture. What actually is more likely to happen is that it will cause something of a reorganization of North Korea's domestic economy. They might focus more on permitted exports, such as textiles or fishing, and this could actually help the North Korean economy, lend it greater stability in the long run. Sort of ironic, because the point of these sanctions were to convince North Korea that its current nuclear posture was unsustainable. From United Nations headquarters in New York, I'm Luke Vargas.